For as long as I could remember, my ranch sat like a forgotten relic on the edge of Willow Creek Estates, the last stubborn piece of real country clinging to its place while the suburbs rose up around it 2 decades ago. Streets of manicured lawns, cookie-cutter homes, and that suffocating homeowners association. The HOA that ruled over paint colors, mailbox styles, and fence heights spread outward like an invasive species, but my 50 acres remained the outlier, a patch of history from my grandfather's era with weather-beaten barns, cattle grazing freely, and a dusty road that led nowhere the HOA wanted to be. They ignored us completely back then. Sure, their newsletters showed up in my mailbox full of petty decrees about holiday lights and pool hours, but no one ever bothered knocking at my door because my land wasn't part of their precious covenants. It existed before all that, and Grandpa had fought tooth and nail to keep it free when the developers came sniffing around, shotgun in hand as he'd growl, "This is ranch land, not some yuppie playground." I inherited the place 5 years ago after Dad passed, a 42-year-old corporate burnout looking for a fresh start and some silence. I fixed up the old house, raised a few horses, planted hay, and got used to the peaceful kind of loneliness that comes when you're invisible to everyone around you. SUVs glided by without a glance, streetlights stopped at my property line like civilization itself refused to cross it. No invites to block parties, no complaints when my rooster crowed at dawn, and honestly I liked being left alone. But everything changed one blistering July afternoon when I hired a geologist on a whim, chasing an old family rumor that there might be something valuable under the soil. "Just check for water," I joked. Instead of water, his drill struck something thick and black, oil, slow but unmistakable, enough to make us both stare in disbelief. Tests confirmed a modest but valuable reservoir that could bring in millions if handled right. Word spread fast. Oil company representatives appeared in crisp suits that somehow stayed clean in the dust, eager to talk leases and royalties. I signed carefully, hopeful but cautious, and soon a couple of pump jacks nodded like giant metallic birds in the back pasture. Trucks rumbled down my road and the money started rolling in. My bank account grew for the first time in my life. I bought a decent truck, repaired the house, even donated to the local shelter. That's when the letters began, polite at first from the HOA president, a smug retiree named Harold Jenkins, congratulating me on my recent prosperity and proposing that I integrate into their community so we could share mutual benefits. I laughed and tossed that nonsense straight into the trash. They ignored me for years, treated me like the ghost at the edge of town, and now suddenly they wanted to claim a piece of the fortune. More letters followed, along with whispers around town that the HOA wanted a slice of those oil royalties for neighborhood enhancements. A petition circulated claiming my operations were unsightly and disruptive. Funny how the scenery looked fine when it was just cows and dust. By fall, Harold and two polo-shirted board members showed up at my gate, trying to look friendly as Harold smiled stiffly. "Tom, we need to talk. Your activities are affecting property values," he said, waving a stack of legal papers like he had the upper hand. I crossed my arms and asked how any of this concerned him. He launched into some nonsense about noise, trucks, environmental concerns, and then claimed the oil was now a community resource. They wanted me to join the HOA, pay dues out of my royalties, and in exchange they'd handle everything, pave my road, maybe build a park. I laughed right in his face. "You ignored this land when it was just dirt. Now that it's pumping money you think you own it, no dice." That's when the gloves came off. Cease and desist threats, complaints to the county, rezoning attempts, neighbors picketing my driveway with signs like "Fair Share for Willow Creek." A ridiculous suburban uprising fueled by envy. So I hired a tough attorney from the city who dug into the HOA's history and discovered they had illegally annexed pieces of public land years ago to expand their power. We countersued for harassment, trespass attempts, and boundary violations. The oil company backed me fully, their engineers testifying that the drilling was safe and fully legal. The showdown hit a boiling point at a town hall meeting where Harold lectured everyone about community unity and fairness. When my turn came, I stood before the crowd and said, "For years you treated me like this ranch didn't exist because it wasn't pretty enough. Now that it's valuable, you want control. That isn't community, that's greed." The room murmured, a few old-timers nodding in agreement, remembering what this land used to be long before the HOA ever existed. The judge ruled in my favor. The HOA had zero jurisdiction and zero claim to my land or its resources, and Harold walked out red-faced, his little empire shrinking as he went. Today, the pumps still quietly draw wealth from beneath my soil. The fences are stronger, I've added security, even installed solar panels to make the operation greener than any of those HOA houses could dream of. Some neighbors wave now, others still pretend I'm not here, and either way I'm fine. My ranch remains what it has always been: independent, defiant, and not for sale. Not to HOAs, not to jealous neighbors, not to anyone.